Hello students, happy morning to all. Welcome to today's class. Today's class is about CAIT, that is Computer Application and Information. In that we are going to learn the 12th chapter of Unit 3, that is Electronic Contracts. The content here we are going to discuss is Introduction to E-Contracts, Definition of E-Contracts, Nature of E-Contracts, Elements of E-Contract. First of all, Introduction to E-Contracts. The very rapid emergence of industrialization, globalization, technicalities formed a great basic for the growth of technology and the rise of this computer age. I can say that creators of computer must not have imagined how super useful their creation stands globally today. One of the product of e-commerce is e-contract. As we know, internet was no more just for tabulation and data analysis. The formation of online contract involves several intermediaries of computer such as ISP. Instead of hazards of two businessmen sending documents by post and completing it in weeks or months, it can be completed now in seconds. Though initially it is refused, many countries have passed laws to recognize this e-contract. So what is this e-contract? E-contract, that is electronic contract, is any kind of contract formed in the course of e-commerce by the interaction of two or more individuals using electronic means such as email, the interaction of an individual with an electronic agent such as a computer program, or the interaction of at least two electronic agents that are programmed to recognize the existence of this e-contract. E-contract is a contract that is moduled, specified, executed and deployed by a software system. So what it says means e-contract, that is electronic contract that is used based on the electronic means like email or any computer program or any electronic agent. So we are doing electrically our contract. Next, nature of e-contract. So the important nature of this e-contract is we have to know about the two main parties in this e-contract, that is originator and addressee. So what is this originator and addressee? Originator. According to IT Act 2008, a person who sends, generates, stores or transmits any electronic message to be sent, generated, stored or transmitted to any other person and does not include an intermediary. That means the person who is sending a message through electrically we can call as originator, and here while sending this message here it doesn't include any intermediate person. The next is addressee. According to the IT Act 2008, a person who is intended by the originator to receive the electronic record but does not include any intermediary. The person who is receiving a message, that is electronic message from the sender, we can call addressee, and even here also it does not include any intermediate person between addressee and the originator. And the second nature of e-contract is the parties do not in most cases meet physically. So there are no physical boundaries between originator and addressee, and even no handwritten signatures, and in most times no handwriting is required. Manual document no need in this e-contract. The next nature of e-contract is no authority to monitor the process per se. So as we know, the main nature of this e-contract, that is two parties. One is originator and addressee. So originator, who is a person sending, addressee, who is receiving the message from the originator. So between there is no other person in this e-contract. So no other authorities to make use of this e-contract documents between the originator and the addressee. The next nature of e-contract is digital signature are used. So here we are using an e-contract. The contract, it is electrically we are doing. So that means there is no handwritten signature is using. Digital signature we are going to use in our electronic contract. The next is electronic documents are evidence. So electronic documents are also used as evidence in the court. Suppose if any problem occurs between originator and the addressee, so the document, that is electronic document, it has make proof or evidence in the court. The next nature of e-contract is methods of e-contract. So the three methods of contracting electrically are email, that is electronic mail, through electronic mail, World Wide Web, www websites, and cyber contracts. Cyber contracts, here an option we have, that is click to agree, or online contracts. So in cyber contract we have an option like click to agree or online contract in our electronic contract. The next nature of e-contract is the subject matter includes. So in this subject matter, the first is about physical goods. So where goods are ordered online and we are paying through internet and the physical delivery is made. And the next is digitized products such as softwares which can be also ordered, and will get services like electronic banking, sales of shares, financial advices, and so on. So these are the natures of e-contract. The first is two parties, that is originator and the addressee, and the second is the parties do not in most cases meet physically, and the third, no authority to monitor the process per se. Digital signature are used, electronic documents are evidence, and the methods of e-contract, that is email, websites, and next cyber contracts, and the last, that is subject matters. The next is elements of e-contract. So in that, the first is offer, adds milestones to bind the contract. Defined under section 2 of A of Indian Contract Act, websites advertisements are invitations to offer except specified clearly. When a person responds by mail, fill out online forms, build into a web page, they make an offer which can be either accepted or rejected. And so an invitation to offer is not capable of making a binding contract on its own until it is accepted. Thus, an offer when made, it must carry the intention of entering into a binding contract. So offer means it may be an invitation whether you have to accept or reject the contract. The next is acceptance. So once an offer is accepted, a contract is concluded except the postal acceptance rules applies. The postal acceptance rules is an exception to the general rules that acceptance of an contract must be communicated to the offer or before a contract can be in existence. Under the rule, acceptance of an contract is said to occur at the time of the acceptance is posted. Hence, the communication of acceptance is complete against the proposer when it is put in the course of transmission to him, and as against the acceptor when the acknowledgement enters into the designated computer resources. So this is about the acceptance. The next element of e-contract is the revocation of offer and acceptance. The Indian Contract Act of 1882 is still in use even for electronic contract. However, both the acts, Contract Act and Indian Contract Act of 1882, still complement each other. Section 5, which speaks of revocation, will not be applicable as there will be no much time or time lag in case of electronic contracts. The dispatch and receipts of mail happens within splits of minutes and simultaneously. The next element of e-contract is lawful consideration. According to the Indian Contract Act, all contracts must have a lawful consideration. It also applies to electronic contracts. Problems may arise at the time when the consideration is merely executory, like when an online shopping site promises to supply an item. Another problem is that such laws cannot apply when an anonymous computer is used. The next element of e-contract is lawful object. The purpose of such contract must be a lawful one. Courts will not enforce contracts that are illegal or violates public policy. Such contracts are considered void. That means the court will not enforce contracts that are illegal or violates any public policies. Such contracts it may be considered as void. The next element of e-contract is competent parties. Natural or legal persons are competent to contract. A computer is neither a natural or a legal person, and so the operator of a computer comes into the picture. The autonomous computer cannot be contractual party. The next element of e-contract is free consent. The autonomous computer, however, clearly cannot be a contractual party. This is quite difficult to determine because sometimes the margin used to determine the strict rules of free consents gets narrower under this electronic contracts. And the last element of this e-contract is certainty of terms in this e-contract. So terms and conditions is very important. during we are contracting, that is electronic contract, we have to read completely the conditions, the terms about this e-contracts. Thereafter we have to make electronic contract. So these are the elements of e-contract. So today in this class we have learnt about the introduction of electronic contract and the definition of electronic contract, the nature of electronic contract, and the last elements of electronic contracts. I hope you understood about all these concepts. Thanks for watching this video. Thank you. Have a nice day.